Pacific allies being able to raise 3 million troops, leading to the Beijing pact being stuck in a trap, as they have 9 million troops, but only 1 million of them in Asia and the Pacific area. And partisans are threatening to encirclements, which could be devastating. The troop numbers from America and Canada and rebels are rapidly rising across the occupation zone. And will they rise up to advance? But will the West still win? Or will the East is close? As the East raises troops in Asia and Africa, well, they have to. They have no other choice. Well, please subscribe, and let's hop into the NATO counteroffensive with partisans rapidly expanding across the front. Huge advances across this front. You might be saying, where? Oh, in the north. Yeah, not big. With American troops and NATO troops moving in to key areas, which allows them to march back into Washington, D.C., with the president basically declaring, we will take control back. And they get pushed out of Quebec and Ontario, and pushed into Maine and out of New Brunswick, getting pushed down New York City, and they get trapped, which leads to a big offensive. But from the south, an offensive works out to here. And meanwhile, the rebels, they manage to take more land, as they start taking over most of the land, as Florida falls. And well, as you can see, this front has greatly expanded in strength. And these rebel groups successfully rejoin the Union. Why rejoin, you might be saying? They occupy a bunch of land on the borders and they join. Basically, it makes sense, right? As Texas has fallen, this rebel group begins to push all the way to here. This is the biggest rebel group. And well, let's hop on over to the Asian allies and see what happens with North Korea, Indonesia, and a few other nations realizing, oh no. In the North Korea, we see the fall of North Korea. Well, the fall is a major event. Them moving north and quickly taking Pyongyang. And China feels the first time they'll feel this war right now, as they cross the borders and attack them directly. And now with them quickly managing to encircle with Vietnam and Thai troops, these troops quickly move in, kicking Cambodia out of the war, thus kicking most of Laos out of the war. Into the south, they managed to kick Indonesia out of Singapore and Malaysia. And over here, the first invasion of Indonesia begins. Thus, this Australia managed to occupy like this. And Papua New Guinea was liberated. Yay! Well, with North Korea falling, China now feels the war, and Indonesia losing land. The Asian front is in turmoil. Will NATO get ready to attack Kamchatka or not? And well, as you can see here, big advances. A big opportunity to advance into this eastern Far East. As they manage to take this city, I don't know its name, I forget it, and move down deeper. And basically they advance to here. Although this is a good advance, well, let's go to North America and see what happens. And the American front having huge withdrawals. of the basically 2 million troops remaining in this front. Well, a lot getting to Cuba, with Cuba being down to 2.5 million troops. But the US, with more land, thus rapidly expands itself. And while in anger, well, I hope you and Venezuela have fun, Cuba. As Cuba slammed by America harder than a hurricane. And they take Havana in a big chunk, quickly invading Cuba. Finally, they can actually do it. And while with Brazil, Colombia, and Guyana advancing from all fronts, the American landing begins, which takes the capital. And well, I bet they don't like this. I bet they really don't. Imagine losing your only foothold in the New World while you're trying to take over the world. Now, that's what I call embarrassing. Well, with Cuba and Venezuela having fallen, along with North Korea and Cambodia. Yes, this is the front line now. And well, before we go to Europe, let's go to Pakistan and see what happens. India destroys the front as they have such little troops left here. Although managing this front has managed for China to get 5 million, this front has managed, the New World front has managed to get to 7 million troops. So yeah, this isn't going to go well, with Islamabad quickly falling. And with this, they quickly move in, encircle Karachi and take it, thus seizing many lands, with them pushing it back to Iran's front and all of Pakistan's under their control, with China managing to lose some land across all the fronts. And well, let's go to see what happens to Europe, with the European liberation beginning in one area. From Ireland, as Ireland joins the war and says, you better give me Northern Ireland, which is agreed upon. So they quickly move in to take Northern Ireland, as the landing takes place in the northern Scotland. As they move in and take major cities of Scotland like Edinburgh and Glasgow, they then move in to take like Manchester and a few others, eventually managing to take London. And then the collapse of the United Kingdom happened. Thus, with this, they take the opportunity to land in France. And you might be saying, why France? While at this time, Morocco pushes deep into Algeria, as they manage to take the capital of Algiers and keep advancing, as they manage to collapse Algeria, thus occupying them. You might be saying, what does Somalia do? Oh, Somalia is a lot of fun. And Kenya joins, being promised lands. Who knew you could get Kenya against Ethiopia, but I guess you can. Must have been an American coup. As I move in towards the capital along with Somalia, Somalia's civil war somehow manages to be stabilized and the government take over. Who knows how that's possible? And then managing to take Addis Ababa, and then moving into the north. Thus, at this point, the collapse of Ethiopia is solidified. And with it, let's get back to the main front. With Spain trying to negotiate back, but the NATO refuses to back down against them. With France losing its north, and they move down, quickly taking Bordeaux, moving across to take Marseille, moving towards Italy, and with their liberation, they move down here, and they begin to invade Spain, with them thus taking Barcelona. From the south they invade, from the north they invade, from Portugal they invade. Yeah, I think they're in trouble, Spain is, at least. Spain, you need to become stronger, but I guess you're not very strong because you betrayed the best alliance in the world. How could you? Madrid falls. And I think that's a good thing. And Catalonia screams, "Yay, freedom!" And you thus realize, thus because you take one enemy doesn't mean anything much. Besides, they are a bad nation, is what they're painted as. Because, let's be honest, why wouldn't you paint Spain as one? With them finally managing to push into Paris, which leads to huge withdrawals in the north, an eventual re-liberation as they get ready for 2 campaigns. And as you can see, with France and Britain liberated, they can quickly manage troops. And you know what we forgot? I forgot a major event they did. And you might be saying, how? I don't know. But they took back Greenland pretty fast, just taking the southern coast, as you can assume. And then at the same speed, they move into Iceland. That's basically what happened. It was pretty fast. Let's see what happens in the German front. Well, the further they go, the more troops they can advance, meaning faster advances, with them pushing back Russia at record speeds. Eventually, this very fast invasion slows down. But they are in trouble, especially the Russians, who are shocked and are becoming destabilized by it. With Italy getting invaded from the south and the north, with them quickly managing to kick the Red Team out of Rome and multiple Italian cities, including Venice, then into Slovenia they march. You might be saying, how far are they going to get? Well, look at this nation. Oof, not good for Norway. With them being pushed out of Norway very fast as a northern landing happened. And this becomes the front line for a bit. But then a dive happens in the front, right here, as they are kicked out of Stockholm, thus forcing them to retreat to better grounds. But they're outnumbered in troops, like 4-1 at this point in some of the fronts. So they're rapidly gaining troops, the Russians are, but NATO's outpacing them. With them managing to not take out Egypt quite, but neutralize them in the ocean. And then they manage to push up, liberating the Balkans. Before they invade Serbia, they just hold the front in a few areas, as they rapidly advance into Berlin, Poland, and they rapidly advance to the north. Thus meaning NATO is back in business. Well, we don't need to collapse Belarus. We need to see what happens. With the Russian order getting invaded, with Bulgaria getting invaded, Turkey getting invaded, Serbia getting invaded, Hungary getting invaded, Slovakia getting invaded, Russia getting invaded. You might be asking to where? Well, basically the Dnieper River, which basically pushes the front to here, with us being their max gains in this area, with Romania managing to kick the Russians out itself, because that's Romania. Now, the Balkans are not happy being occupation zones, claiming they need to be liberated. But do we really care? No. And while, at this point, the Russian order loses Belarus, Indonesia falls. You might be asking, why? Well, they do. Kazakhstan is like, you know what? Oh, wait, Kazakhstan doesn't exist. 1 second. It leaves. The Beijing pact has lost land. Well, they overextended like they would win, but they completely mismanaged troops. And their whole front line and chaos thus erupted. The fall is almost inevitable. The Middle East holds but weakly. China, Iran, and a few others will struggle to succeed. Well, please like and subscribe while also commenting your thoughts and theories on today's video. Click that notification not to miss future uploads, such as American Paranoia on Friday. And we will return to our alternate future of the World Series Tuesday. Wild Mapper out, but non-daily subscribe.